Hello, friend. Have you ever felt that familiar knot of anxiety tightening in your stomach, or that surge of anger threatening to erupt? Today, we're going to embark on a journey together, exploring 10 powerful Stoic principles that will equip you to navigate life's storms with unshakable tranquility. This isn't just about ancient philosophy, it's about practical wisdom you can apply right now to cultivate a profound sense of inner peace. By the end of our time together, you'll feel more grounded, more resilient, and more in control of your emotional landscape. So settle in, get comfortable, and prepare to unlock a calmer, more centered you. And if you find value in what we discuss, please consider subscribing to join our community on this path to a more serene existence. Let's dive into our first principle, and it's perhaps the most fundamental: understanding the dichotomy of control. This isn't just a philosophical concept, it's a psychological superpower. Think about it. So much of our distress comes from trying to control things that are simply beyond our influence. The weather, other people's opinions, traffic, global events, these are all external. We can wish for a sunny day, but we can't make the clouds disappear. We can hope for a promotion, but we can't force our boss to give it to us. When we expend energy and emotion on these uncontrollable factors, we're essentially throwing our peace of mind into a raging fire. The Stoics understood that true freedom comes from recognizing this boundary. They taught us to differentiate between what is up to us and what is not up to us. What is up to us? Our thoughts, our judgments, our desires, our aversions, and our actions. Our character, our effort, our responses. These are all within our sphere of influence. Everything else? It's external, and trying to manipulate it is a recipe for frustration and suffering. This isn't about apathy, it's about strategic focus. It's about channeling our energy where it can actually make a difference. When you find yourself getting agitated, pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then gracefully let it go. Redirect your focus to what you can control: your attitude towards the situation, your preparation, your response. This simple act of discernment is incredibly liberating. It allows you to conserve your mental and emotional resources for the things that truly matter, and where your efforts can yield genuine results. It's about taking back your power from the chaotic forces of the world and placing it firmly within yourself. This principle doesn't promise that bad things won't happen. It promises that you won't be derailed by them. You'll learn to observe, adapt, and respond with a calm, clear mind, knowing that your inner fortress remains unbreached by external chaos. It's a daily practice, a constant reminding, but with each conscious application, you'll feel a palpable shift in your ability to remain calm amidst the storm. Our second principle is the practice of negative visualization, and it sounds a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? We're often told to think positively, to manifest good things. But the Stoics, with their profound understanding of human nature, realize that constantly expecting the best can leave us utterly unprepared and devastated when things inevitably go wrong. Negative visualization isn't about being pessimistic. It's about preparing for adversity and appreciating what you have. It involves taking a few moments each day to contemplate the loss of things you cherish: your health, your loved ones, your possessions, your comfort. Imagine for a moment what it would be like if you lost your job tomorrow, or if a close relationship ended, or if a valuable possession was stolen. This isn't meant to induce fear or sadness, but rather to serve two powerful purposes. Firstly, it inoculates you against the shock of potential loss. When you've mentally rehearsed a difficult scenario, the actual event, should it occur, doesn't hit with the same crushing force. You've already done some of the emotional heavy lifting. It's like a mental fire drill. You're not hoping for a fire, but you're prepared if one breaks out. Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, negative visualization cultivates profound gratitude for what you currently possess. When you imagine losing your loved ones, you suddenly appreciate their presence in your life with renewed intensity. When you contemplate the loss of your health, you cherish every moment of wellness. This isn't just a fleeting thank you. It's a deep, visceral appreciation that transforms your perspective. It helps you see the extraordinary in the ordinary. The mundane acts of daily life, a warm meal, a comfortable bed, a friendly conversation, become precious gifts. In a world constantly chasing more, this practice grounds you in the abundance you already have, making you less susceptible to the incessant craving for external things that often fuel discontent. It reminds you that everything is on loan, that life is fleeting, and that every present moment is a gift to be savored. By regularly engaging in this mental exercise, you develop a robust emotional resilience. You become less dependent on external circumstances for your happiness and more capable of finding contentment in the present, even amidst life's inevitable challenges. It's a powerful tool for cultivating both calm and profound appreciation, transforming fear of loss into a deep gratitude for existence. Now let's explore our third principle, understanding the nature of external events as indifferent. This might seem a bit cold at first glance, but it's incredibly liberating. The Stoics observed that events themselves are neutral. A rainy day is just a rainy day. A spilled coffee is just spilled coffee. A criticism from a colleague is just words spoken. It's our judgment about these events that attaches meaning, emotion, and often distress. We label the rain as bad because it cancels our plans. We label the spilled coffee as terrible because it stains our shirt. We label the criticism as unfair or hurtful because it challenges our ego. The event itself has no inherent emotional charge. It simply is. The Stoic practice here is to strip away these layers of judgment and see things for what they objectively are. This doesn't mean we become emotionless robots. It means we gain control over our emotional responses by realizing they stem from our interpretations, not from the events themselves. When something happens that would typically upset you, pause and ask, what is this, objectively? If someone cuts you off in traffic, objectively, it's a vehicle changing lanes in front of you. Your anger comes from your judgment that they are rude, disrespectful, or dangerous. By recognizing the indifference of the external event, you create a crucial space between stimulus and response. In that space, you have the freedom to choose your reaction. You can choose to be upset, or you can choose to let it go, understanding that your agitation won't change the fact that they cut you off. This principle empowers you to reclaim your emotional sovereignty. No longer are you a slave to external circumstances, bouncing from one emotional reaction to another based on what happens to you. Instead, you become the calm observer, choosing how you engage with the world. It's about cultivating a mindset where you acknowledge the facts of a situation without immediately overlaying them with emotional baggage. This practice is particularly potent in situations involving other people. Someone might say something insensitive. Objectively, it's a string of words. Your suffering comes from your judgment about those words. By seeing the event as indifferent, you can detach, observe, and then decide how to respond constructively rather than react emotionally. This mindful approach fosters a deep sense of inner calm as you learn to navigate life's inevitable bumps without letting them dictate your emotional state. Our fourth principle delves into the power of acceptance, or Amor, Fati, love of fate. This isn't about passive resignation, but an active, almost joyful embrace of everything that happens. Remember the dichotomy of control? Acceptance is the natural extension of that. Once you've identified what is beyond your control, Amor Fati encourages you to not just tolerate it, but to truly welcome it as part of the tapestry of your life. This means accepting setbacks, challenges, and even perceived misfortunes, not as obstacles to be resented, but as opportunities for growth, learning, or simply as unchangeable facts of existence. Think about a craftsman. If a piece of wood has a knot, they don't fight it or curse it. They integrate it into the design, perhaps even making it a focal point. They love the knot for what it is and for how it can inform their creation. Similarly, with life, when unexpected events occur, a missed opportunity, a difficult conversation, a sudden change in plans instead of railing against them, the Stoics invite us to see them as the raw material of our lives. How can this situation, whatever it is, be used for good? How can it teach me something? How can I adapt and become stronger because of it? This principle transforms adversity from a source of suffering into a catalyst for resilience. When you truly love your fate, you understand that everything that happens, good or seemingly bad, contributes to your unique journey and offers a chance to practice virtue. It liberates you from the exhausting struggle against reality. Imagine the peace that comes from no longer constantly wishing things were different, no longer lamenting what should have been. Instead, you embrace what is with an open heart and a curious mind. This doesn't mean you don't strive for improvement or work to change things that are within your control. But for those things that are outside your influence, Amor Fati provides a profound sense of peace. It's an affirmation of life in its entirety, with all its unpredictable twists and turns. By actively choosing to love whatever happens, you disarm the power of misfortune to disturb your inner calm. You become like a river, flowing around obstacles rather than crashing against them, maintaining your steady course no matter what the landscape presents. Let's move to our fifth principle, the importance of reflecting on impermanence. Everything is in flux. Change is the only constant. While intellectually we all know this, emotionally we often resist it. We cling to possessions, relationships, and even our own youthful vigor as if they will last forever. This clinging is a major source of suffering, as reality inevitably pulls them away. The Stoics consistently reminded themselves of the transient nature of all things, not to be morbid, but to cultivate a profound sense of perspective and detachment. Think about the seasons. Autumn leaves inevitably fall, winter snows melt, and spring blossoms are fleeting. Each phase has its own beauty and purpose, but none lasts indefinitely. Similarly, our lives, our circumstances, our joys, and our sorrows are all temporary. Your current challenge? It will pass. Your current success? It too will evolve or conclude. When you internalize this truth, you gain a remarkable ability to weather both the good and the bad. You don't become overly attached to moments of joy, knowing they are transient, and thus you savor them more deeply without the fear of their ending. Conversely, you don't become overwhelmed by moments of sorrow or difficulty, knowing that they too are temporary. This perspective helps you avoid being swept away by emotional highs and lows. It fosters a steady, grounded calm. Furthermore, contemplating impermanence encourages us to live more fully in the present moment. If everything is passing, then now is all we truly have. This awareness pushes us to be more present in our conversations, more mindful in our actions, and more appreciative of the fleeting beauty around us. It's a reminder to make the most of each day, each interaction, each opportunity, because they won't last forever. It's not about despair over loss. It's about a heightened appreciation for existence. Recognizing the impermanence of things helps us loosen our grip, reducing anxiety about future loss, and enabling us to experience the present more fully. It's a powerful antidote to the fear of change and a catalyst for appreciating life's precious, fleeting moments, helping you maintain your calm even as the world around you shifts and transforms. Our sixth principle focuses on the distinction between having and being, specifically emphasizing the development of inner virtues over external possessions or achievements. In a world that often measures success by wealth, status, and material goods, the Stoics offered a radically different perspective. True wealth lies within. They believe that only our character, our virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance are truly good and fully within our control. Everything else, like money, reputation, health, or external circumstances, is merely preferred indifferent. While we can aim for preferred indifference, our ultimate peace and happiness should never depend on them. When you derive your sense of worth and contentment from external things, you are constantly vulnerable. If those things are lost, stolen, or fail to materialize, your peace is shattered. But when your sense of self-worth is rooted in your character and your commitment to living virtuously, then your inner calm is unshakable. No external force can take away your wisdom, your courage, or your justice. This principle encourages us to shift our focus from "what can I acquire?" to "what kind of person do I want to be?" It's about building an internal fortress that is impervious to the whims of fortune. Consider a situation where you face a professional setback. If your self-worth is tied to your job title or salary, this setback can be devastating. But if your self-worth is tied to your effort, your integrity, and your resilience virtues you demonstrated even in the face of the setback, then your calm remains intact. You can view the situation as an opportunity to practice fortitude and seek new solutions, rather than as a personal failing. This mindset also liberates us from the endless treadmill of desire. If happiness comes from within, from living virtuously, then the constant craving for more external things diminishes. You become content with what you have because your true treasure is not stored in a bank account, but in the quality of your character. This profound shift in focus provides a bedrock of calm, knowing that your most valuable assets are always with you, nurtured by your choices and actions, impervious to the external world's unpredictable tides. It's a powerful way to cultivate deep, lasting peace. The seventh principle invites us to embrace self-sufficiency and contentment with little. This isn't a call to asceticism or deprivation, but rather a profound understanding that our needs are often simpler than our desires suggest. In a consumer-driven world constantly telling us we need more, the Stoics advocated for a careful examination of what is truly necessary for a good life, and what is merely a pleasant addition or worse, a source of endless longing. When you cultivate an appreciation for basic necessities and find contentment in simple things, you become less vulnerable to the caprices of fortune. If your happiness is tied to having the latest gadgets, the most expensive clothes, or luxurious vacations, then any interruption to that flow of acquisition will cause distress. But if you can find joy in a simple meal, a walk in nature, or a good conversation, then your calm is far more stable. This principle encourages us to regularly practice voluntary discomfort. Try eating a simple meal, or going without a luxury you usually enjoy, or walking instead of driving when possible. This isn't punishment, it's training. It's a way of proving to yourself that you can thrive with less, that your happiness isn't dependent on external comforts. This practice builds resilience. It reminds you that should circumstances change and you lose access to certain luxuries, you will still be okay. You will still possess the inner resources to find peace and contentment. It reduces your fear of loss and makes you less susceptible to the endless cycle of desiring more. By understanding that true happiness doesn't come from an abundance of things, but from the right disposition towards whatever you have, you gain incredible freedom. You are no longer driven by external validation or the need to keep up with others. Your sense of well-being becomes an internal thermostat rather than being constantly adjusted by external temperatures. This mindset fosters a deep, unshakable calm because your contentment is a choice, not a circumstance. It empowers you to live a richer life, not through accumulating more, but through appreciating what is already sufficient, realizing that true abundance comes from within. Our eighth principle is about the rigorous examination of our impressions and judgments. This is where a lot of our inner turmoil begins. When an event happens, our mind immediately forms an impression and often attaches a judgment to it. This is bad. This is unfair. I can't handle this. The Stoics taught us that we don't react to events themselves, but to our interpretation of those events. The challenge then is to become incredibly mindful of these automatic interpretations. When you feel a surge of anger, anxiety, or sadness, pause. Don't immediately act on that feeling. Instead, ask yourself, what impression am I having right now? What judgment am I making about this situation that is causing this emotion? For example, if your boss gives you a new task, your initial impression might be, this is too much work. I'm going to be overwhelmed. That judgment then triggers anxiety. But if you can interject and challenge that judgment, you create a different reality for yourself. Perhaps you could reframe it. This is a challenging task, an opportunity to learn and demonstrate my skills. The external event, the new task, hasn't changed, but your internal response to it completely transforms. This is the essence of cognitive restructuring, a technique widely used in modern psychology, tracing its roots directly back to Stoicism. It's about realizing that you have the power to consent or withhold consent from your impressions. You don't have to believe every thought that pops into your head. Many of our thoughts are just noise, old programming, or unexamined assumptions. By subjecting these impressions to rigorous scrutiny, asking if they are truly accurate, rational, or helpful, you gain immense control over your emotional landscape. This isn't about denying reality, but about reframing it in a way that serves your inner peace. It's about developing an inner censor, a wise observer who examines incoming information before it's allowed to take root and cause emotional upheaval. This practice requires consistent effort and self-awareness. But with each successful challenge of an unhelpful impression, you strengthen your ability to remain calm and collected, choosing your responses rather than being dictated by automatic reactions. The ninth principle we'll explore is the concept of living in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, nature had a dual meaning. Firstly, it referred to the natural order of the universe, acknowledging the cosmic laws and accepting what is beyond our control. This ties back to principles like the dichotomy of control and Amor Fati. It means understanding that the universe operates according to its own logic, and resisting that logic is a futile exercise that only leads to suffering. Instead, we align ourselves with it, flowing with rather than fighting against the currents of life. Secondly, and perhaps more profoundly, living in accordance with nature meant living in accordance with human nature, which they believed was inherently rational and social. As human beings, our unique faculty is reason. To live in accordance with nature, then, means to use our reason to guide our actions, thoughts, and emotions. It means acting rationally, making choices based on logic and virtue, rather than being swayed by impulsive emotions, desires, or external pressures. It also means recognizing our interconnectedness as social beings. We are part of a larger human community, and living in accordance with nature involves contributing to the common good, acting with justice, kindness, and empathy towards others. When we act selfishly, irrationally, or unjustly, we are acting against our true nature, and this inevitably leads to inner conflict and a loss of calm. Think about a time you acted out of anger or resentment. Did it bring you lasting peace? Probably not. The Stoics would say that such an action was against your rational and social nature, and therefore it disturbed your tranquility. Conversely, when you act with patience, fairness, or compassion, even in difficult circumstances, there's a deep, settled peace that comes from knowing you've acted in alignment with your best self. This principle encourages us to constantly ask, is this action rational? Is it virtuous? Does it contribute to the greater good? By striving to live consistently with these ideals, we build a foundation of integrity and coherence within ourselves. This coherence translates directly into inner calm, as there's no internal battle between what we feel compelled to do and what we know is right. It's a path to a life of profound peace, rooted in self-awareness, reason, and our connection to humanity and the universe. Finally, our 10th principle is the importance of present moment awareness and mindfulness. While the Stoics didn't use the term mindfulness in the modern sense, their teachings are steeped in its essence. A significant portion of our anxiety and distress comes from either dwelling on the past, regret, anger, guilt, or worrying about the future, fear, anticipation, what-ifs. The Stoics understood that the only moment we truly have power over is the present one. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. To lose ourselves in either is to forfeit our peace in the here and now. This principle encourages us to bring our full attention to whatever we are doing, experiencing, or thinking in this very moment. When you are eating, truly taste your food. When you are listening, truly hear the other person. When you are working, focus completely on the task at hand. This isn't just about efficiency, it's about cultivating a deep sense of presence that grounds you and protects you from the mental wanderings that often lead to agitation. Seneca, a prominent Stoic, famously wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Much of that waste occurs when our minds are everywhere but the present. By practicing present moment awareness, you become more attuned to your inner state and more capable of catching unhelpful thoughts before they escalate into full-blown emotional storms. You learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, recognizing them as transient phenomena rather than becoming entangled in them. This practice helps you stay anchored in reality rather than being tossed about by hypothetical scenarios or past grievances. It's a powerful tool for interrupting the cycle of worry and regret. When you fully inhabit the present, you realize that most of your fears about the future are just that, fears, not current realities. And most of your regrets about the past cannot be changed. This acceptance of the present moment, coupled with focused attention, creates a serene mental space. It allows you to respond to life with clarity and intention, rather than reacting from a place of distraction or emotional overwhelm. By consistently returning your attention to the now, you build a powerful reservoir of inner calm, accessible whenever you need it, making the present moment a sanctuary from the often chaotic demands of the world.